So, starting with the introductions, I'm Grigorios Theodosopoulos, and with my colleague Vinay, we are going to share with you a case study of using a debate culture during synchronous online teaching to help us, to enable us continue using TBL, team-based learning, and foster authentic learning and assessment during the lockdown period. Vinay, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Thanks, Grigorios. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vinay Utham. I'm a lecturer in finance and corporate governance at BBS at Brunel Business School. So I shared this module with Grigorios last year. It was on contemporary issues in accounting for master students. And we basically, it was a very unique experience for both of us in implementing team-based learning during the pandemic period when everybody's in different time zones and so on. So we'd just like to share our experience and thoughts and what we actually found out. So looking forward to the Q&A as well later on. And back to you, Grigorios. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vinay. So, uh, moving forward with an introduction of what has taken place over this period of time, we all know that whatever innovative forms of teaching we used to have in place in previous years was actually challenged. We were required to engage in synchronous online teaching, and to many colleagues, this really looked like an act of necessity and a very limiting reality. The question here, however, is was it a limiting reality or something that would prevent experimentation? Or it was actually just a limiting belief and experimentation innovation could still go on. This is what was going through our mind and during our conversations with Vinay when we were about to decide whether we are going to keep a TBL, team-based learning approach teaching or not in the previous term. So we decided to use debates for that purpose, and we are going to demonstrate here how a combination of formative and summative online debate assessments actually helped us to maintain authentic teaching and learning practices within our module. Apart from our reflections, our discussion is based on what our students told us through the official university student satisfaction surveys and through their unofficial reflective accounts. Now, to set the context of the module, it is a postgraduate research-led module in accounting. We have a very diverse coursework, loads of students from different cultures, number of home students and European students as well. Normally, the cohort size is between 50 to 70 students per year. This year, we had 52 students. We were familiar with using team-based learning in the period before the pandemic, and we used to have diverse assessment elements in the past. What team-based learning and debates have been helpful with in the past was they were enabling us to achieve better and faster cohort integration and facilitate the team-based learning approach. They were a very good opportunity for us to give instant feedback to the students and help them engage in peer evaluation practices. It was helping us to achieve and maintain authentic assessment standards, improved critical thinking of students, and it enhanced their ability to cope with controversial questions in a number of assessments post the debate. Now, all these things during the lockdown were put at risk, and we had to decide whether this approach will be helpful or not. The decision was to continue it, and here is a few theoretical foundations behind authentic learning and assessment, the main drivers for us to keep using debates on our practice instead of moving into something with lower risk that would only involve direct one-way delivery. So theoretical underpinnings of authentic learning and assessment, it has to be challenging and set to an appropriate standard. It should be product focused, outcome oriented. It should ensure knowledge transfer from the assessment to the actual work environment. It should enable self-evaluation of learning and critical reflection. It has to be accurate in terms of the skills and abilities assessed, and create an assessment environment that looks like the real world somehow. And it should provide discussion and feedback opportunities and the collaborative element for the students. So these were the things that had already been achieved with this module before the pandemic. This is what we wanted to maintain. However, there was a whole range of practical challenges and implications that Vinay is going to talk about in the next slide.
Thank you, Grigorios. Yeah, so obviously, with every opportunity or every project that we undertake, any project that anyone undertakes, there are the obvious risks and challenges associated with it. No project or no model is perfect. So ours is no different. And given the fact that our module was designed on a team-based learning or a more to do with a team building exercise, the pandemic's arrival did not really help matters. And, we faced, and so, when we were designing the module in a pandemic setting, we had quite longer meetings to deal with the challenges. We spent more time on seeing what potential challenges that would arise and how do we tackle them. And boy, are we grateful that we actually, undertook such a risk management exercise, because many of the challenges that we basically have mentioned in these slides did occur to an extent which, but through our risk management techniques, we were able to overcome them. But some of them, some of the key challenges that we faced, majority, I mean, if I were to summarize all these little bullet points into one, it was basically, we had 52 students located in, diversity was the biggest challenge. And I don't mean any cultural or gender diversity or any of those. So diversity in terms of geographic, it was simply the geographic diversity that was the biggest challenge, because when you have 52 students in in about 30 different time zones, all logging into the same time, and when you have a platform that is normally designed to undertake a lot of bandwidth, but when it is an interactive session, obviously the bandwidth issues, the platform itself has bandwidth issues. And so we did face connectivity issues, we did face diverse time zones where the students were working in, and also in a normal setting, in an actual face-to-face setting, in an interactive team-based learning environment, face-to-face, we could have helped the students better, right? But obviously, when you are in a virtual setting, all in different time zones, we have a limited ability to help students in real time. And obviously, when we were undertaking the risk management exercise, that is another challenge that we faced. While we did not face that particular challenge to a large extent, it was definitely a part of the process that we had to overcome in order to undertake an effective learning environment for this particular module. So these are some of the key implications and challenges that we faced during this module. Next slide, please. So now that we've listed the challenges, we undertook the risk management exercise during out-of-term time. The module started. It started off pretty decently, but at the same time, we still had one more thing. While we were building the module, we still had one thing to look about. It was all about the end goal. And the end goal was what? The end goal was to ensure that students were assessed during using a debate. We stuck with the same process. And also because it served two purposes. Number one, it helped the students to understand the challenges surrounding team playing. When you want to be an effective team player, what are the challenges that you need to overcome, and what are the kind of skill set that you need to have. We wanted to preserve that particular learning objective. However, we, with the virtual team setting, we also wanted to ensure that in a post-pandemic world, in a hybrid work environment, how do you transfer the skill set in a virtual environment? Because a lot of companies today are moving into a hybrid environment, work from home, work from office. So there would be challenges that our students would face when they graduate as to how to employ team building, how to be effective team players in a hybrid work setting. So the debate, with the main form of assessment, became so crucial that we had to build our module around the debate. And in order to make it an effective learning experience for students, and in order to make it an effective assessment experience for us, we had to organize the module around the debate. How did we do that? Well, first of all, we set the debate. The debate assessment. That was step number one. Was what are the kind of what would be the kind nature of debate topic? What would the debate topic look like? And we had to build around it. So the debate topic was essentially, obviously, the module that we covered was contemporary issues in accounting. So students were supposed to know what are the various challenges that the accounting profession faced. And the debate was basically, how do the changing business models as a result of disruptive technologies, how do they impact the financial reporting standards? In other words, should financial reporting standards change as a reaction to the changing business models thanks to the disruptive model technology? So you have these blockchain, digital currencies, all of that have actually fundamentally changed the balance sheet, the traditional balance sheet modeling that companies pursue. So we wanted to ask the students, we wanted to assess the students based on their understanding, based on their understanding and based on their opinion on whether they would, whether financial reporting standards should change or not. So that was a theme of the actual debate. That was the actual assessment. So so how did we organize the module around the debate? We basically structured 6 weeks of lectures with surrounding surrounding this particular theme. So we had 1 week, we talked about the various blockchain, disruptive technologies that are out there. For example, blockchain and the applications of blockchain. We also looked at what are the current status of financial reporting standards? What are the existing standards that are out there? So we had a lecture on that, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the examples that I can give. However, the end goal, remember, is the debate. Is how do we gear up the students for debate? So what we did was each lecture was about 4 hours. We took about an hour and a half to talk about the various themes surrounding the debate. And we gave the students about 1 hour to prepare for a practice debate. And this practice debate was based on the topic that was taught the previous week. So it was nothing to do with the actual debate. Obviously, that would be too easy for the students, right? If you gave the actual, we give you 6 weeks to practice the actual debate. Here we go. I would be surprised if if anyone fails that model. So obviously, we had to maintain the integrity of the assessment. So what we did was we kept a practice debate surrounding the topics that were taught the previous week. So if week 1 we taught blockchain technology, week 2 students were given 1 hour to prepare for a debate surrounding the blockchain. We would give them a topic surrounding blockchain technology, and they would have to prepare. And the one thing that we did to make sure that the effective, the team building exercise was effective was that students were classified into fixed groups, were divided into fixed groups. And these groups remained fixed right through the course of 6-7 weeks that the module ran, up until the final debate. So we made sure that, by the time the actual debate came in, they would have known their cohort. Each student would have known his classmates, his group mates' weak strengths and weaknesses. They could effectively organize. So essentially, we put them in a company setting. If you're in a company setting, you're in a team working on a certain project. By the time the actual execution of the project happens, you would obviously know each other's strengths and weaknesses. How do you play around with it, and so on and so forth. So we wanted to give them a real life sort of. We kept that in mind as well. The employability skills, how do you enhance the students' employability skills, was also yet another factor that was considered into organizing the module around the debate. But the key point was the final goal was to organize a debate that centered around some of the contemporary issues in accounting, And we built the module around the debate by taking snippets of the actual debate theme and organizing them into separate small sessions, so that the students slowly, it's like a storyline. You have the prequel, you have the trailer, you've got some, the heroine is introduced, the villain is introduced, and then finally it just combines into one big movie. So that was the main goal behind this particular organizing the module around the debate. Next slide, please. Finally, obviously, if I'm talking about organizing the module around the debate, I think I've mentioned the word debate around 1,000 times. Obviously, I should get straight to the day of the debate, right? What did we do on the day of the debate? So organizing the assessment. We wanted to maintain the integrity of the assessment. So obviously, students were marked on individual basis on their own performance. You perform well on the day, obviously, the students who perform well on the day obviously gets a higher grade, and so on and so forth. However, we did not want to encourage free riding. Now, we've noticed that, in a team building, one of the fundamental challenges is free riding. You have a group of 6 students. Chances are 4 of them work hard, 2 of them free ride. 2 of them basically attend 1-2 meetings, and they expect, they think that it's a group activity and they're collectively graded as a group. So we didn't want to do that. And we also wanted evidence of who participates, who is more actively participating, and who is not. So what did we do? We basically, in the fixed groups, the students were expected to meet outside class hours to practice these debate sessions as well. They were expected to organize meetings and schedule practice sessions. So we asked the students, each team, each group, to actually create a group activities log, keeping in mind the names of the student IDs and who participated, how many meetings did each of the student appear, and what was the individual contribution. And the kicker was that this particular group activities log had to be approved by the entire group. So we wanted to make sure that everybody is very happy with it before submitting it to us. So part of the assessment was this group activities log as well. And this effectively, and as part of the feedback that we received, we were able to eliminate free riding to a large extent. Now, on the actual day of the debate, obviously, I mentioned that one of the biggest challenges that we faced were the connectivity issues. The platform was not taking enough bandwidth for 52 students, all cameras on, microphone on. It was dealing. So what did we do? We created a separate Zoom sessions for each group debate. So if there were 9 groups, we had 9 Zoom sessions ready to go. And it was 1 group per session. So they had to come in, they had to log in. Me and Grigorios and I were the assessors. So we basically logged into the Zoom session, individual Zoom session. They came in, they delivered their debate. We asked them the questions. The assessment was carried forward. And then everybody left the group. Grigorios and I jumped to the next group. So individual Zoom links were sent to 9 groups. And we made sure that, at the same time, only not more than 7 people were in that session, which significantly helped to eliminate these connectivity issues that we were talking about. We also made sure that there was some time for breaks and discussions. And the one thing that we kept in mind was we did a test match approach. In cricket, there is in cricket test matches, there were 5 days is the match, but normally there is a 6th day for reserve day, right? Should it rain in any of days. Obviously, we came across that, if there were to be significant connectivity issues, despite all the steps that we have taken, we made sure that if it's, let's say, 15 minutes per group, 9 groups, 15 multiplied by 9, 135 minutes, I think that's around right. We did not keep this entire debate for 135 minutes. We gave them an extra, we scheduled in an extra 1.5 hours to make sure that, should there be any connectivity issues, should there be any disruptions with any of the groups, we did not want the other groups to face the consequences. So extra time was scheduled in. And if there was disruptions, we promptly emailed the group saying, please be on standby. We might be 10 minutes late, but and so this reserve day, I call it the test match reserve day approach, was incorporated into our actual session as well. And then finally, once the debate was done, they still had to upload all the slides and the activities log, and all of that had to be uploaded on the exam server, and we were graded, and then the final grading process was complete. So that is how we organized the assessment overall. Back to you, Grigorios, for the next.
You're welcome, Vinay. As the objective is to enable some time for a discussion in the end, we will now quickly take you through some of the views that students have shared with us. The big question was, did that work? Well, we were very happy to find out that not only it did work well, actually our initial hesitation turned to joy, and both ourselves and as per the student satisfaction surveys, the students had loads of fun as well. It helped us make our module a lot more interactive in comparison to conventional direct delivery, one-way delivery sessions. The debate culture helped us maintain the team-based learning approach that we had in place in previous years. All those measures with the group's activities log and the actual practice time given during the session motivated the students to stay engaged. So contrary to what has been experienced in other modules, our attendance stayed high from the beginning to the end of term, which was good. And most importantly, which was our main fear in the beginning, student attainment actually improved instead of declining during that term. Now, Vinay is going to present a few more details on what the feedback the students gave us looked like.
Grigorios, yeah. So one of the first outcomes that we faced, when the theme that came across with all the feedback was academic socialization. 52, like I said, 52 students, different countries, different time zones. The whole university experience was unfortunately missed out of. It did not help that we were going lockdown after lockdown, and international travel, quarantine, all sorts of issues were facing. So one thing that students actually encouraged was, because we encouraged students to meet up outside class hours to schedule meeting sessions, one thing that came out of this was academic socialization, as observed from some of the bullet points. These are actual feedback from official student surveys that we got. So basically, they said that it gave them a good route, good experience to not only learn, not only grow, not only build their employability skills, but to actually also interact with their peers and learn on their own, and make some useful connections. So academic socialization was one benefit that we saw that occurred as a result of our debate.
A key question when it comes to authentic assessment and team-based learning is, can this be challenging for the students? Based on their feedback, it was a constructive experience, which has also been challenging. So students who were initially very much afraid and they were experiencing stage fear, and they had not worked in groups before because they were coming from educational systems that don't particularly encourage teamwork. They reported that they did eventually manage to solve these issues, improve their time management, get to know their group mates better, and eventually perform better than what they initially expected to perform.
Then finally, our end goal, our ultimate end goal, was also achieved, which is basically students were able to transfer whatever they learned into classroom in their employability, based on and this is in their own words. They were able to work on their presentation. By the time they finished 6 practice debates, we could seriously see the difference of practice from debate 1, when they were a little hesitant, and until the actual debate, when they were, when we couldn't recognize some of the students, at least to an extent. And they were very happy with, with the fact that this particular platform enabled them to transfer whatever they learned, their skills, and some key skills as far as their employability is concerned. Interpersonal teamwork and written communication skills were also successfully able to transfer into. I mean, that's what the learning outcome was successfully achieved, as evidenced from students from the own words of the students. And lastly, from me, obviously, I keep saying this every time. I've been talking as if this was a 100% success. We should be given awards. That is not quite the story. Obviously, we did face limitations. We did face limitations with the whole project. Some students, despite all these attempts, they did find it harder to communicate because of connectivity issues, because of their innate personality issues. They could be shy, it could be all of that. The stage fear, we couldn't completely solve it, but we did reduce it to a certain extent. Some students did say that they benefit, but obviously there were challenges, and we believe that if it was face to face, maybe one-on-one interactions could have with the student could have probably been created a more effective. And the internet connectivity and time zone differences, I'm sure all of us face this. I was stuck in a lockdown for another country during the course of the module. We had our own issues, so obviously it was not 100% eliminated. Like one student did experience some connectivity issues on the day, and the reassessment had to be scheduled. Some of them which could have been avoided if it was face to face. So the virtual setting did present the limitations. However, most of it we were able to overcome. Goristura, thank you.
Thank you very much, Vinay. Summarizing our concluding thoughts, things seem to have worked well for us based on both our experience and reflection and the feedback we got for the students. What we consider as the main success is that debate assessment helped us maintain our team-based learning approach. But I can see that we have some very good questions on the chat right now. So we first of all like to thank you for your attention. I'm going to stop screen sharing and we will start responding to the questions we have.